I have to admit, doing a kind of comprehensive video review on something like the Lewitt 1040 is a little bit intimidating. There's just so many sonic options that this mic offers. So I think a good starting point at the beginning of this video is just to try to make a determination of kind of where the mic sits sonically. So right now, I've got the Lewitt with the tube set in the clear setting, and it's blended 50-50 between tube and FET. So I think this is just a pretty good, accurate representation of kind of the stock sound of the mic. So let me just speak a little bit more into the Lewitt. I think generally what we're going to do, I feel like my Vanguard V13 is kind of on one end of the spectrum. It's got a lot of great character. Sonically, it's a little bit more neutral and maybe even darker. It's not a very hyped microphone, but it's got a lot of great character. The TG, on the other hand, the Chandler TG mic, is a very bright, clear, present mic. It's also got a ton of different settings that you can dial in, but I feel like it's on the other end of the spectrum. It's very bright and very big sounding, but it can sound a little harsh sometimes, and it generally needs a little bit more space. It's not a great close mic option a lot of times. It just needs a little bit more room to breathe. So yeah, here's the Lewitt. Let me jump over to the Vanguard V13 real quick. Now I'm talking into the Vanguard V13. Again, I feel like this isn't a very hyped mic. A lot of people think it sounds dark, but I think we're just used to hearing so many hyped microphones where the high end's boosted that we don't realize that what we're listening to isn't a very quote-unquote accurate representation. So that's what I love about the Vanguard mics across the line. They're all kind of just accurate, but they also have a lot of great character. And the V13 in particular, it's got a very nice kind of subtle high end where it usually doesn't sound harsh. I feel like Vanguard's kind of voiced it again to be more neutral, where on the other hand with the Lewitt, I feel like it has a really, really smooth top end. Let me jump out back to it real quick. The Lewitt, I feel like, and I've tested a lot of their mics, and I feel like this is kind of maybe a little bit of the Lewitt sound. They're all very present, and, but the high end is not harsh on any of the Lewitts I've tried, and it's pretty remarkable. It's great. I feel like with Vanguard, they've kind of voiced it to not be, as hyped, and so the high end's there. You just have to bring it out sometimes, where with the Lewitt, it just sounds great on its own, and that high end is there, but it's super smooth. Let's jump over to the TG. Right now I've got the TG mic on the A setting, which means it's going through a lot of the, colorful circuitry, and it's on what I call setting 4, where all of that character is boosted through the circuitry a little bit more. So it's kind of like their stock setting, but just a little bit more of everything. So there's a lot of great, harmonic content in the TG, but it's definitely on this end of the spectrum. It's definitely a brighter mic, super present, but unfortunately, and you're probably hearing it in the sibilants, I feel like it can be a little sibilant and a little harsh at times. The proximity effect on this mic can be massive, so generally I end up placing it a little further back than I would most mics. So this is his TG. Let me go back to the Lewitt. So one more time, I feel like the Lewitt, again, is a little bit more present than something like the V13, but at the same time, it can be a little bit more open and clear like the TG, but without sounding harsh. So I really do feel like it's a good kind of middle of the spectrum mic when you look at these two examples. So hold out real quick. Again, we're listening through the Lewitt right now in the clear tube setting, blended 50-50 between FET. Let's change this up real quick. This is when you start to realize and appreciate the versatility of this Lewitt 1040. Now I've gone fully tube, and it's in the dark setting, and it changes things completely. Let's go over to the V13 real quick. So right now, I think you're probably hearing it to where it's a little bit closer in sound to the V13. You've rolled out a lot of highs. And again, this is when you really appreciate the versatility of this thing, because it can go from sounding like more like something like the TG where it's super present, and then go to super mellow with something like the V13. Let's go back to the Lewitt. Again, we're in the dark setting, 100% tube. So now let's go ahead and let's focus on the Lewitt, and let's jump to some acoustic guitar and kind of hear all the settings and different voicings that this mic is capable of producing. Before we dive into the whole song that we're going to do with just the Lewitt 1040, I just want to take a few minutes to walk through all the settings on here so you could hear them on acoustic guitar and kind of get a general idea of what all the different sound settings do, because besides being able to blend between full tube mic and full FET mic, the tube mic section has 4 different sonic presets. So right now, I'll pull this up. We're going to start like we did in the other video where we're between 50% FET and 50% tube. The tube's on the clear setting. Need to point out real quick, this is probably obvious by now and everybody knows it, but one of the coolest things about this mic system is that this top unit is removable from the power supply section, and if you connect it with an XLR, you can move the control unit anywhere. So you can be in the control room, your artist can be in the live room, and you can blend between this stuff with the main control unit in the control room, which obviously I think that's what makes this a game changer. It would be a huge pain in the butt to have to go back and forth to dial settings in and then listen back and forth. Can do it in real time, which is really cool. So yeah, let's that's on the clear setting, blended half and half. Let's go to full FET. Let's go to full tube. We're obviously in cardioid. I think I'm just going to stay in cardioid for the time being. That was clear, full tube. Let's walk down. Let's go to warm. Let's go to dark. Let's go to saturated. Now you have to be careful if you've got your speakers on when you're switching between a few of these settings, especially when we switch to saturated, there's a little bit of a pop. So just be aware of that if you're switching with headphones or speakers. This is saturated. Now I've found that the clear setting and the saturated setting are the two that sound the closest. Saturated just obviously sounds like a more saturated version of clear. Maybe saturated is a little nicer on the high frequencies. Let's switch back and forth between those real quick. Here's saturated again. Personally, I really love saturated. I played around with this mic for about a week at this point, and I'm getting addicted to the saturated setting. That's probably my favorite. Warm and dark are also the other two there, the closest. So let's go to warm. Now, warm is really great, especially on vocals. I've found that it just kind of takes the edge off. Interesting enough, I think most people are going to go to dark and go like, whoa, that's way too much. Here's the brilliant part of dark, in my opinion, is being able to blend it. So let's listen to it in full FET real quick. It's just the FET part of the mic. Let's go to full tube. So aside from pretty much being stuck on the saturated setting personally, the one I like the most, I've also found myself setting it to fully FET on a source, setting the tube section to dark, and then just blending in the tube dark setting to round things off a little bit if it sounds harsh. So let me play a little bit further up towards the bridge just to get a brighter sound. Might sound a little harsher. Let's see. Either of those, fully FET or fully tube, just doesn't sound great to me. I mean, I'm obviously trying to make the guitar sound bad by playing up here on the bridge, but check this out. Let's start in FET and blend a little bit of that dark tube in. Considering that's a horribly crappy sounding guitar part playing right there, that doesn't sound too bad, you know. We're able to keep most of the FET sound, then blend just a little bit of that dark end to round things off. Okay, let's go 50-50 on the dark setting, just real quick. Let's go full FET. Let's go full tube on the clear setting. Let's go to warm. Dark. Saturated. That's a lot of ground for one mic to cover. It's pretty cool. And again, just the fact that you can actually take this remote with you, power it and control it through your snake or a long cable. That's really cool. I've never seen anything else like that. I've seen a bunch of cool toys over the years. Yeah, so now we're going to move to the part of the video where we just kind of do a whole song with the mic front to back. Again, I think being able to blend between tube and FET is really awesome. It's a great way to kind of, you know, dial in a sound, take some edge off, add a little bit of something. The other really, really great option that Lewitt's added to this is that on the power supply, You've got an output for your mixed signal, which is basically you manually mixing between tube and FET. It also has just a straight other output just for the FET part of the mic. So if you set your control unit to full tube, the mix part will output the tube section, and then the FET part will output the FET section, so you can record the tube and the FET signal simultaneously and blend them in later in post. I think for this video, what I'm going to do when we're recording the whole song, I'm always going to have the control unit set to 100% tube so that you guys can have both the tube signal and the FET signal in the session files and be able to blend afterwards, so that, again, you can kind of play around with the mix, because I think that's a really important part of this, and I want you guys to be able to play with that mix as opposed to just being stuck with the mix that I picked. So let's move forward and let's get to the meat and gravy of this thing.
Woke up just like yesterday morning, and the morning before, and the one before that. I've been trying to have some healthier habits, but that don't mean I'm trying to win you back. Just want you to know that now I'm trying. I'm mostly better now, with the occasional cough. But this bad blood takes a while to wash off. Another life and 2 sprouts of alfalfa, reaching out untethered for the sun. woke up just like yesterday morning, the morning before and the one before that. I've been trying to have some healthier habits. That don't mean I'm trying to want you to know that now I'm trying. I'm mostly better now, with the occasional call. But this bad, bad blood takes a while to wash off. Another life, two sprouts of alfalfa, reaching out untethered for the sun, swaying back and forth to the music, before the earth stood still in 2021. As I reached out with hands of courage, somehow they turned into Molotovs. Now this bad, bad blood takes a while to wash off. I know this bad, bad blood takes her